This is the HONOR Magic Vs3. It was the world's second slimmest foldable when it launched, a spot it's now lost to Xiaomi's Mix Fold 4. Now, despite playing second fiddle to the more expensive Magic V3, the Vs3 is still a very interesting phone in its own right. So what is so interesting about this one? Well, let's unbox and find out in today's video. Now, if this is your first time here, or in case you just can't remember, my name's Ash, you're watching C4E Tech, and let's get started. The HONOR Magic Vs3 comes in a big black box, and this here is the 12-256Q, which is the base variant. Let me go ahead and rip the plastic off. So the box flips open. Nice, I like the presentation. Fun fact, it's been almost 3 years since I covered an HONOR phone, and especially recently I've been hearing a lot of nice things about HONOR. So I'm very excited to see what they've done here. And as I pick this phone up, I can already feel it's so damn sleek, and even when it's closed, it doesn't feel bulky or it doesn't feel too thick. Unfolded, this Magic Vs3 is just 4.8mm thick. Folded, it's 10.1. The white skew is the same, while the black skew is even slimmer. So like I said, the Vs3, it's very sleek. Anyways, let's get the unboxing over with. Next we have a USB Type-C to Type-A cable with orange accents, a 66-watt HONOR supercharger, a SIM ejector tool, some regular literature, and finally a hard shell case. This one's slightly different than what we usually see with foldables. It's got a vegan leather finish, so that adds to the grip. It's got a kickstand, which is quite convenient, but these are things we've seen before. What's different here is that it also offers protection for the hinge. As this part, it's flexible, and it's mostly good, but when you shoot rear selfies, that's when it obscures part of the display and can get a little annoying. Now, if you're thinking the Vs3 kinda sorta looks familiar, well, you're right. It's based off of the Magic V2 from last year. In fact, if you see the dimensions, it's very close. HONOR's managed to maintain the 5000 mAh battery capacity, and they've even stuck in support for wireless charging this time, up to 50 watts proprietary. So from a build perspective, the Vs3, it feels great in hand. The back has a matte finish to it. It's slippery but doesn't pick up fingerprints or smudges easily. Now to the left, we have the volume rockers, a speaker, a USB Type-C port 3.2 with display out by the way, a microphone and a SIM tray are located at the bottom. This can take 2 nano SIM cards. To the right, we have the power button which has a fingerprint scanner built in. Fast and accurate, no complaints. Now to the top, we have another speaker, another microphone, and an IR blaster to control appliances around the house. Now on this phone, we get a pair of OLED panels. Let's start with the cover display. This is a 6.43-inch 20:9 LTPO OLED panel with an almost Full HD Plus resolution and 120Hz refresh. HONOR claims a brightness peak of 2500 nits for HDR. In my testing, it output over 1500 nits. Now on the inside, we have a 7.92-inch panel. The crease here is minimal, not really distracting. This display has an aspect ratio of 9.78:9, so it's almost a square but not really. The resolution is 2344x2156. This also happens to be a 120Hz LTPO OLED panel, but the brightness claim is different, 1600 nits for HDR. In my testing, it output about 1000 nits. Now both panels have 3840Hz PWM dimming under low light. So watching videos, reading books, playing games, it's all a nice experience. The speakers are also quite loud and clear. Not saying it's better than the iPhone, but just to give you some perspective, have a listen. Now an important thing with foldables is multitasking, and that seems to be well implemented here. You can run 2 apps side by side, swap between them, you can run apps in floating windows, pin them to the side, pull them back out, resize them as you see fit, make them run side by side again, and you can do a whole lot more. HONOR has actually taken things even further this time with parallel space, so you can have an entirely different set of apps for say work, and you can actually use this to run 2 instances of the same app side by side. Neat, right? So this here is HONOR's Magic OS 8 running on top of Android 14, and the user experience was good. The interface was quite responsive. If you have any apps launching like this with black bars, then you can tap this icon that shows up at launch to force a switch to full screen. Alternatively, you can use the app scaling menu under settings to individually set how each app should run on the internal display. HONOR also provides a set of game tools to quickly tinker around with settings while gaming, though the Magic Vs3, like most foldables, is not great for gaming. Guys, when you have this sleek form factor, heating and throttling are almost a given. And the Vs3, which is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, it loses about 50% of its peak performance in a stress test, but it loses that in just 3 minutes. That said, as long as the games aren't too intensive, you can have a fun experience with the screen. Of course, the area around the cameras do get a little warm. Talking about cameras, we have a triple camera setup to the back. The primary is a 50 megapixel 1x1.56 inch sensor that's paired with an f1.9 lens that's optically stabilized. The images seemed fine, the dynamic range was good, felt like there was a tiny bit of over-sharpening going on, initial impressions at least, and the low light, I really liked how the highlight suppression was implemented. Like, look at the signboards here. The images, they were clean, low noise, liked it. The secondary is a 40 megapixel ultra wide, which is pretty good too. The colors aren't perfectly matched to the primary. That's a pet peeve of mine, but barring that, it's good. It's got autofocus, can shoot macro. The app is a little finicky though. It doesn't switch to macro very easily. When it does work, it gets the macro job done. The third one, it's an 8 megapixel sensor that allows for 5x optical zoom, and the lens here, it's optically stabilized too. As you can see, it does a fair job, a little soft at times, but even 10x results were mostly usable. You can go up to 50x, but by that point, it's all a blurry mess. It does great for portraits though. The Magic Vs3 allows you to shoot 4K 60 video, and that's frankly not great. Again, there's that little over sharpening and the saturation is cranked way up. I'm not a fan. I mean, just see the color difference of videos shot via the front and rear cameras. You see that saturation punch? And oh yeah, the selfie cameras can shoot 4K too, up to 30 FPS though. Now we have a pair of 16 megapixel shooters in a hole punch on both displays, and they are fine. The stills don't have that unnatural saturation boost either, the skin tones are accurate, and the images have reasonable detail. Now of course you can shoot all this via the rear camera, but then you'd be that crazy guy holding up the phone like this and shooting rear camera selfies. Now jokes apart, I do like what they've done with the interface, how you choose to shoot rear selfies. I find that quite intuitive. So that is basically the HONOR Magic Vs3. This phone starts at 69.99 RMB, which converts to about 80,000 rupees Indian or $960 US. For that price, I feel the Magic Vs3, it's a very interesting foldable. It's 2000 RMB cheaper than its stablemate while still providing you a very sleek and comfortable experience. It even shares a lot of the same features like wireless charging, parallel space, and the defocus eye protection stuff and so on. So what do you think about this approach? A slightly lower spec foldable for a slightly lower price tag? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And thanks for watching. Ash out.